10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to your program, The Platform. We all want to be the best parents we can be for our children, but there are often conflicting advice on how to raise a kid to be who is confident, kind, and successful. That is why at the last episode, we started with a discussion on parenting in a changing world. Modern parents struggle with different aspects of parenting, from childcare, child education, role modeling, discipline, to mention but a few. So based on popular demand, we shall continue our discussion on parenting in a changing world, with emphasis on parent-children relationship building. Don't go away. I will be right back. You're welcome back from that short commercial break. And before I went on that break, I was trying to introduce our topic for today. And the topic is parenting in a changing world. And we're laying emphasis on parent-children relationship building. And with me on set today, I've got two wonderful people. And the first person is Professor Babatunde Nuga. Professor Nuga is an erudite scholar and a professor of soil science. He works currently as a manager with the Department of Agriculture, province of Manitoba, Canada. He's married to his beautiful wife, Yemisi, and they are parents to two wonderful children, Oluwatobiloba, a young adult son, and Oluwadara, a teenage daughter. He is passionate about encouraging people to fulfill God's purpose for their lives. You're welcome on set, sir.
Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you, sir. And my second guest is Emmanuela Otubelu. She is a woman with many hats. She works with the province of Manitoba. She is a chef par excellence, a humanitarian personality who has championed food drives for homeless shelters, facilitated hearing aids for hearing impaired individuals. She is a wonderful mother of 3 amazing boys and a wife to a handsome husband, Chike Otubelu. I welcome you on set today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, Prof, I'm going to start with you today.
Okay.
And I'm going to throw the first question. What's, in your own words, is parent-children relationship?
Okay, thank you so much for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to be here. Now, talking about parent-children relationship, we want to look at it. There are two main words in that: parent, children, and then we go on to relationship. So if you look at parents, by definition, parents are caretaker, they are caregiver. And even looking at it biblically, they are stewards of God to these children. So God has given the children to us for us to take care of. So that's looking at it, who is a parent? Now talking about children, children are descendants from a family. So now we want to see relationship. Relationship talks about how we relate, how we behave towards one another. So in a parent-children relationship, we are looking at the way parents who are caregiver relate with their children, or with the children who are offsprings from that family or from that relationship. So these are what we're talking about. Parents-children relationship, we are looking at how they relate together, how they regard one another, and how they flow together in that God-given unit.
Thank you very much, sir. Emmanuela, do you agree to that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay.
I do.
So I'm posing the second question to you, and this actually boils down with working from home. For the past 1.5 years now, due to COVID-19, some of us have been working from home, and so I would like to ask you, how have you coped?
Okay, first of all, thank you for having me on set. Personally, for our family dynamics, it hasn't really changed in that I'm a critical service worker. I presently work for the province of Manitoba, and because of that, I still continue to go into work. And so my kids continue to go attend daycare. My husband is also an essential service worker, so through the pandemic, we're going to work.
Oh wow! So you never work from home?
Only very recently did my office, change a few things, and they've given us the option to work from home a few days a week. But I still have to go into work.
Okay, so those few days, what has been your experience with the children?
Most times the children are in daycare. Only our oldest son, we have a 14-year-old, he's at home all the time because he's old enough to stay by himself, and so he's been attending summer camp. And many times there's some children are self-starters, others are children that you don't have to monitor them all the time. They know what to do, they know when to wake up, they know when to do their chores, they know when to eat and do everything else they need to do. But I have children from 2 generations. We have a 14-year-old, we have a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old. So if I feel for the parents who had to work from home and at the same time care for their kids who were either doing e-learning or education from home, one way or the other, because you have to focus on your work and then you have to make sure that the kids are able to listen to what their teacher says, do their home assignments, do their schoolwork. I can only imagine if my 5-year-old and 7-year-old were at home and I had to work from home, it would have been a big challenge. But I'm grateful to the fact that they were able to go to daycare, and I had to work.
Okay, so sir, did you at any time during this COVID have you worked from home?
Oh well, the nature of my own job, and like Emmanuela said, I work with the province as well. But the nature of my job allows me to be able to work from home. So for quite some time now, I've been working from home, and it's two-sided. The question, in answering that question, because I have a young adult son. He's going to be 21 in October, and he's an undergraduate, so he's been studying from home. And my daughter is in the last school year was in grade 11, so she's going to grade 12 in the new academics year. So working from home, we've all been there, and it actually creates new dynamics to the way things are, because before now is that, okay, in the morning, everyone tidies up and then we all go our different ways. But with working from home, at a point in time, my daughter had to be going into school. So I used those occasions to take her because I saw it as an opportunity to bond with her.
Yes.
So I intentionally create that time to take her to school because she attends a school a bit far from home. And then in the afternoon, I take time off to go and pick her as well. And there was a time they had to stay at home. Now, the challenging aspect is that for her, it was not what, and I believe with so many other kids, what they bargained for, to be at home studying. And if you have a 16, 17-year-old, one of the things that I've had to do with working from home, and good enough I work from home, is that there are times I go upstairs from my office and knock on her door to be sure she's actually attending class. And I must confess, it's not easy. And so I try to understand with her, but at times it's like, girl, you need to be up and doing, because I wouldn't know for some others. There are times they are still there on their bed and you see they're on their phone listening to lectures. And it's like, how do you do mathematics calculation? Lying down. So, it's been a supportive role to be able to help them go through that challenging period, because we have to realize, there are times, especially for people from our own background, we don't talk so much about mental health. And at times we don't look at how this impacts. It's like, go, get it. But we need to be able to balance things up. For my son, who is an undergraduate, for U of M, University of Manitoba, they've been studying online. It's been more of supporting these children, even though he's a young adult, is to support them, making things easy for them, because I understand that this is not easy on them too. They are not meeting with their friends, they are not meeting with their classmates. So the best we can do is to support and not make it worse.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, thank you very, very much. Emmanuela, I'm coming back to you, sir. Relationship building is an aspect of parenting. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay, can you please share with us how you build relationships with your children?
Okay, so first of all, parenting, as far as I'm concerned, is a journey, and we're all on a journey. Nobody's an expert. I believe that you learn daily, and sometimes you take stock, and then you go back, and then you do better. So for me, building relationships with your children is absolutely important, and I believe in starting early. You can't just wake up when a child is 12 years old and decide to build a relationship. You have to start from when they're nurturing, from the first stages of parenting. There's a attachment stage when they're babies, 0 to 2, and then there's the nurturing stage from 2 to middle years, and then after that you become an advisor or a coach, sort of like Prof was saying, that you begin to play a supportive role. So you have to start that relationship building from very early, and you have to talk to your kids. You have to be relatable. If you have to be the kind of parents who, you don't shut down you have to be the kind of parents that you're willing to listen to them. Many times kids are trying to tell us things, but we're busy doing other things. And I have learned I learned very early on that the minute a child says, "Mommy," they need your attention. Drop whatever else you're doing and listen to what they're trying to tell you. I learned very early, because I'll share an experience with you. When our 14-year-old was very young, he was about 5 years old at the time, and it was back in Nigeria, and we went home for Christmas holidays, and there was this kid in the environment at the time, and I didn't know the kid, and I'm very particular about who my children spend time with. So they were playing, how kids are playing and all that. I was cooking in the kitchen, and my son kept coming back. He came the first time. "Mom, can you come?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're bothering me, I'm trying to cook. I'll come talk to you later." And then he came back again. "Mom, can you come?" And then I shushed him away again. I said, "You know what? I'm gonna." When he came the third time, I said, the Holy Spirit said, "You better follow this boy. If he's calling you, something is happening." And then I followed him all the way and upstairs, and I got to the room, and the girl there was trying to play, I don't know what they call it, but mommy and daddy type of play. And my son is not used to that kind of play, so that's why he kept coming back to call my attention. So when I got to the room, I asked the girl, "What's going on?" She said, "Oh, I want to play mommy and daddy with him, but he doesn't want to play. He keeps going to you." And I said, I just said to myself, "Holy Spirit, thank you." Because imagine if I had ignored him, he might have eventually gone to play and then picked up one or two habits that you find it hard to break. And there's one prayer I always pray. If anybody who's my friend knows, I always say, "Lord, let nothing fall on my blind spot." The truth is that we can't be 100% with our kids all the time. But if sometimes the Holy Spirit lets you know, this is what's going on, you need to pray about this, and then you're able to nip it in the bud. You know what I mean? So you have to, I strongly believe in relationship building. Sometimes my husband says, "Oh, this boy tells you everything." That's because we started early. You have to start that relationship building. My son tells me when he has a crush. My son tells me, when he needs something, or things that he discusses with his friends. He feels comfortable. Now he even tells myself and his dad, both of us. I encourage my husband that, we both need to get to a place where he's talking to both of us and not just me. And the same thing. So now he comes to us and, he talks to us, we chit chat, we gist. And that's because we started this early. So I believe in a fundamental relationship building. You have to instill it in your child. You have to be relatable. Your child needs to know that they can come to you at any point.
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much. And sir, what about you?
Oh yeah, I totally agree. And the issue of relationship building is an integral part of any relationship. You must be ready to invest into it. I'm quite excited because listening to the last episode, the barrister who was on the show, she talked about following her son to Saskatchewan with the daughter. The son was involved in basketball and all those sort of things. And she actually mentioned a thing. I'm actually repeating, what she said because it's quite important. It deals with the question you just asked on relationship building. She shut down her practice for 1 week to be able to do that. And other thing she said is that, especially for those of us who are of maybe African descent, most of us who immigrated down here, it's like, oh, we are here because of you, we are here because of you, and we are not at home.
Yeah, exactly.
We are not building that relationship. We've become almost like strangers to our children. So it's quite important. And, for me, family is key. Even in my office, I tell my team members, when it comes to the issue of family, I don't compromise it. I support them, I encourage them, and I look for ways to make sure that they have that work-life balance. And for us, we must be intentional. As parents, we need to be intentional. We need to settle it. We need to let it be part of our value system that family and building that relationship is key. And we are not ready to compromise it. No job is going to take it away. No, relationship or outside the family is going to take it away.
Thank you very much, sir. So this next question is coming to you. And at the last episode, we agreed that parents should be involved in the activities of their children. And we have an unanswered question from one of our esteemed viewers, which I'll be directing to you. So, how do you draw the line when you're trying to build a relationship with your children? How do you draw that line?
I go back to, good for all the experiences, and we are all learning. And like Emmanuela said, these are not things you just wake up to do. These are things, like she said, you start from when they're young. They know that when mommy says no, this is what they know. This is what it means. They know the love. Like in our saying, there is that saying, the adage in our local language back home in Nigeria, that is the same teeth that the dog used to play with the child, that the dog we also used to buy, and it's to train, to discipline. So it's to be able to, there is an established value system in the family. And for us, in my own family, we've been able to build that relationship. They know, and we keep telling them, we don't refrain, we don't cut back on it to let them know we are your parents. We give back to you. We love you. No matter what anyone tells you out there, we tell them, we are your parents, we love you. At times it might be hard, but we love you. So they understand that. And they understand that whatever we're bringing towards them, it's out of love. There are times they don't really understand it, but we always look for teachable moments. So they are able to learn. They know that when mom or dad says no, it's no. And one of the things that's helped also is for parents to be on the same page. When parents are on the same page, it makes this a lot easier.
That's right.
So that they know, oh, this is what we can do. And we don't cut back on showing that love at every point in time. Like I said earlier on, for my daughter, driving her to school, there are times she say, oh, daddy, I can take the bus. She's 16 for goodness sake. That she can take the bus. I said, no, I take you. She said, oh, I'll be closing by so time. I said, I'll be there. There are times I might not be able to make it for maybe 3:30 or 4. I say, look, maybe by the time I close, can you wait? Just because I want to be part of her life. And I know by the time she grows up and she gets her own family, it will be registered there that my dad
was there for me.
Fantastic. And Ella, what do you see to that?
Yes, I agree with everything Prof has said. In parenting, you have to look for teachable moments. I like that word. I use it myself. You don't wait until something happens. before you look into a situation. You have to, through the day, especially driving the children to work. Last term, I drove my son to work. I carpooled with another family, myself and my husband. And, I find that short drive, maybe that 17 minutes drive or that 15 minutes drive, there's a lot of bonding that can take place there. You have to take advantage of those moments. When children open up more when they're not on guard, when they're relaxed. People say commonly, oh, you're the parent, you can't be your child's friend. They have to know you're the parent. But you know what I say? I say don't be their friends, but befriend them.
Yes.
Be relatable. Let them be able to talk to you. Just ask questions, and ask questions some more. Not in a probing manner, but in a friendly manner. Just the way their friends will act. Let your children know that you're interested in their life, in their well-being. And, let the outflow of love not be limited. Like Prof said, let them know you love them. Let them know that come rain. There's something my husband always tells my son. No matter, our older son, no matter what your friends tell you, we're still your parents. And I like it when Prof mentioned that. So that way you're reinforcing the fact that this is family.
Yes.
This is family. It doesn't matter what else you see out there. We are family. And come what may, we're here for you.
Thank you very much. So that takes me to the next question, and it goes this way. He who withholds the rod of discipline hates his son, but he who loves him disciplines and trains him diligently and appropriately with wisdom and love. And that is found in Proverbs 13:24. Now, what is your take on disciplining a child, especially in this part of the world where corporal punishment is abhorrent?
Personally, I don't think you can be. Parenting is one of the, as the barrister said yesterday, parenting is one of the scariest roles on earth. It's a role that you have to do with God. You can't do it with yourself. And the truth is that I believe in 100% discipline. Not just because I'm an African. Back home in Africa, it's emphasized and re-emphasized in us. Most of our parents were authoritarians. There are four types of parenting. There's the authoritarian, there's my personal favorite, the authoritative, there's the permissive, and the parent who is uninvolved. I believe the balance is an authoritative parent. And that's bringing that together, that you have the authoritarian and then a bit of the permissive. That brings the balance to give you the authoritative parent. I believe that you have to discipline children. Yeah. Children, if you don't put boundaries, they would scale the fence. You have to give them boundaries. And again, I need to emphasize, you have to start from early on. So there are different stages how you discipline children. When a child is 2 to 5, you don't spare the rod. If they're naughty, spanking comes in. As long as you're not abusing the child.
Spanking.
As long as you're not leaving marks on the child's body, that spanking could come in. And then when they grow, when they get into middle years, at that point you switch to negotiation.
Yes.
At that point, spanking will not do anything. No, will not do much. You should have done that spanking earlier on when they were younger. And then, but at the point of the middle age years, you switch to negotiation. You begin to reason with them. My husband loves reasoning. Sometimes I watch him and my son when they're reasoning with each other, and I see how his face lights up, my son's face lights up when whatever my husband is trying to tell him sinks in, and that's because we laid that foundation. The years where we correct, Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child. There's some things. The Bible also says that foolishness abounds in the heart of a child, but with the rod of correction, you beat it out. So Canada, I love Canada because it's a diverse culture. We all have our various cultures and our different beliefs. And as someone who works in the social service industry, it is my official responsibility to report abuse when I see it. So discipline is very different from abuse.
Yeah.
Let's not get it twisted. A lot of people get that wrong. When a child is 2 to 5, if they're naughty, you better be spanking them. When they're older than that, you correct with love. And then when, like Prof's son is 21, at that point, you're not going to be, you're just a coach. Yeah. You're advising. At that age, you're advising a child. You better have trained them up at that point. So that at that point, the child might come and say, hey, Dad, what do you think about this? Then with your wealth of experience, you advise the child. That's not the time to start spanking the child. That's not the time to start negotiating with the child, because at that point, they're set in their ways. They're already built up. And God helping us, we probably should have trained them up at that point. So I believe that discipline is very important.
And Prof?
Yeah, thank you so much. That was quite elaborate. And just to add to that, the issue of discipline, I believe so much in it. And there is a particular word in that, training.
That's right.
You see, when we hear discipline, it's not about carrying a cudgel and, and that's what a lot of people think. No, it's about training. And some of these things doesn't just come overnight, like has been elaborated. It must start early. In fact, to the extent, it will come to a point that the child too will know that even though they might show some attitude, they know that what my mom or my dad or what my parents are doing, it's out of love.
Yeah,
if I can go back, we were talking about relationship building. We just came back from a family trip to Edmonton. And for my daughter, she is the Canadian type, quiet and, going her own way. And my wife said, look, we went to Galaxy Land in Edmonton, and it's like you have to go on go-karts. With my daughter, it's like, go-kart, driving, all those things. But it's like, you must go. So I went in, and you needed to see the way our face lightened up, just like Emmanuela said about the sun. So you must be able to do that. Now, when it comes to training, I use the word training. I'm a farmer. I work in agri. If you look at some of the trees, if you go to the legislative building, you see all the trees there. In some of our neighborhoods, you see the trees. Now, when they plant the trees, there is some silvicultural, that's the term you use, process that must take place. They talk about pruning.
Yes.
You talk about trimming. Now, when you trim and you prune a tree, you are trying to allow the tree to have a form.
Yes.
And when you are doing those pruning, there will be sap coming out. It's almost like the tree weeping. So what do we see in the natural is replicated in our family. So and what you are trying to do is so that tree will be useful. Because if you don't trim it, if you don't train it, like you have some plants that train, like now I'm trying to do ugu plants that we're doing. If you don't train it, it will just go haywire. So you just want that plant to get to its full potential.
That's right.
So in training our children, which we call discipline, is not, we should look at it that we are helping them. We are supporting them.
Yes.
And in doing that, there will be moments where there will be release of sap. There will be moments where it will look a bit painful. But then it's so to help and support those children to get to be able to full potentials. So it's the word training is important. It's just trying to help them to be able to come to what God has ordained them to be. And if you remember, when the first question was parent-children relationship. As parents, we are caregivers.
That's right.
We are supports. So we must be ready to support them. So it's part of the support system we are giving to children. And it must be done with good explanation.
Thank you very much. So we will be right back. This is getting heated up. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
I'm Buki Sholanke of Maximum Realty, your favorite real estate agent. With almost 15 years as a real estate professional, starting from United Kingdom and in Canada to being a licensed realtor here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, I am passionate in helping people make the right decision when it's time for them to purchase their dream homes and in selling their properties. I walk with you every step of the way, throughout all the process, to ensure that you do not fail. The professionalism, personal touch, and genuine empathy that I employ in getting the job done are what set me apart and also help build strong bond with all my clients, which makes them to always come back, as well as refer their friends and families to me. Call me today on 204-997-6117 to schedule an appointment, and I am all yours. Buki Sholanke, your trusted family realtor.
Hi there. The changing economy has affected almost everyone, even me. Do you want to know how you can supplement your income with a digital business? If you are that person and you are so interested, you can please reserve a seat for a free complimentary webinar at www.olubunmi.com to know more.
We welcome you to Yummy Fashion for all your souvenirs, asoebi, embellishment of fabric, and fashion designing needs.
So welcome back from that short commercial break. And for those just joining us on our program today, we want to say a very big thank you to you. And we are discussing parenting in a changing world. And today we are looking at parent-children relationship building. And with me on set is Professor Babatunde, Nuga, and Emmanuela Otubelu. However, if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, please do so. Like, share, and leave comments. Okay? So we move on to the next part of our questions for today. So I'm going to start with Emmanuela. So why is parenting important in a child's life?
Okay, so I believe that children are godly seeds, and God places us in their lives to be guardians over them.
Okay.
Again, I'm going to refer to what Prof said. Children cannot achieve their fullest potential if they don't have that God-given guardianship. So parents, God has given us everything that we need to raise up these children in the fear and, knowledge of God and training. I like that word, train. And when children are young, children can do anything. They don't have any training. They don't have any. They're just born, especially because we live in a fallen world. So children, when they're born, their natural tendencies is to misbehave.
Sure.
That's where parenting comes in. I refer to what Barrister said on the last episode. She was saying that if you look at children in foster care homes, if you look at children who live in orphanages, maybe children who may even have parents, but they're permissive parents or parents who are uninvolved. Because mind you, you can have parents, but they're not really parents.
Not part of.
If you get what I mean, they're not involved in the child's life.
In the life of the children.
So not every biological mother or father
is a parent. Yeah.
So parenting is a huge responsibility.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, one of the greatest responsibilities on earth is to be a parent.
Yes.
And so every child children need training. They need reassurance. They need love.
Yeah.
They need help. They need counsel. They need advice. They need a roof over their head. They need to be fed. These are now material things. But children need wisdom. They need all that. And that's a parent's responsibility. Yes. The list goes on and on and on. Children need that structure, that guidance, that someone with wisdom telling them, advising them, this is what I think you should do. This is how I think you should go about it. This is the best thing to do. Because otherwise, again, foolishness abounds in the hearts of children. If there's nobody there to help them sort of guard and guide them, then they'll miss it in life.
Yeah. Okay, Prof. So why is parenting important in a child's life?
Yeah, it's like I said earlier on at the beginning, parenting is one of the major relationship. Parents is their major relationship a child or children we have in their lifetime. And if you look at the family, it's the basic unit of the society. And the parents coming in and looking at it also from the biblical aspects. When God was talking about Abraham, he said, I know Abraham that he will teach not just his children, but his children's children. So God was able to commit himself to Abraham because he understood that Abraham will fulfill that role. So for us also, there is an expectation from God.
That's right.
And like I said earlier on, we are caregivers. We are stewards. And the import is also based on the fact that we are going to give accounts. We're going to give accounts.
Oh, yes.
So we need to see it from that perspective. And when we start seeing it from that perspective, I'm sure it will strengthen and encourage our desire and our resolution to be able to say, look, I'm going to give it all that it takes to fulfill this that God has committed to my hands. We don't just see it as it's something that just happened. I just have children, they just come like that.
And things will fall in place.
Things will fall in place. You know, the Bible was talking, Paul was saying, he says, say unto Archippus, take it to your ministry to fulfill it. It's a ministry.
Yes.
And you need to see it that way. And that's why I believe so much that for every parent that is watching this program, that we need to sit down and go back to the basics. And what's the basics? The manual of life, the Bible, to see what is it that God has committed to our hands. And I want to tell every parent out there, no matter what the situation might be, you are privileged, you are blessed. Even no matter how gloomy it may look, I want to tell you that having that child shows that God has got you in mind. That's right. And for some of us, these children might not even be our biological children. And for some of us, the children, these parents might not even be our biological parents. I lost my dad when I was 14. And the people who, like my foster parents, they are my friends, my best friend's parents. Though my friend is late now, but the parents, up to today, the mom still sent me a message. When I was going to marry, they were the one who went with me. I learned so many things from them. They were there as my parents. They went with me when it was time to get married. When I had my children, they were there to support me. So for every one of us as parents, we have a big role. And God is depending upon us. The society is depending upon us. The family is like a cell in a body. Our body is made up of different cells. If a cell malfunctions, it will affect the whole body. So if we fail in parenting, we have a failed society.
That's right.
So we need to see it from that angle.
So in a nutshell, maybe I can say that parents need to be part of the children's life.
Absolutely.
Because if there is a vacuum, then someone else will take that position.
If I must say, if you don't teach your child the way to go, somebody else will teach them. Social media will teach them. Phones will teach them.
Bad friends
will teach them. Even sometimes schools will teach them. You know what I mean? So if we don't teach the children, somebody else will teach them. The vacuum will not be left without somebody will fill it.
So Prof, I'm coming back to you, and we want to take this a little bit higher now. Do parents influence child's personality?
Oh yes, very well.
How?
We are, whether we like it or not, and like it was Emmanuela said the other time, children, even right from the age of 2, and these days, it's a jet age. Once they are born, they start seeing us. We are their first model. In fact, not just their first, we are there for a long time. They see the way we behave, they see the way we react, they see the way we take to our responsibility. In fact, there's a series we are watching and it's called Responsibility. How do we respond to situations? How do we show love? How do we show care? So we are that role model. So whatever we do,
they are watching.
One way or the other, it will influence them. I give you an instance. My mom, even though I'm from the polygamous setup, she was given to hospitality. People will come late in the night, and that's what she will do, and all those sort of things, preparing food for people and all those sort of things. And I tell you, I think I took that, even for my wife as well. And we had a lot of people coming into our place. And we tell our children, this is what needs to be done. And you know the exciting thing, when they might even do as if they are not doing that. But when people come in, you'll be surprised the way your child or your son or your daughter will go. The extent they will go to take care, give the person water, prepare food for the person, and it's like, you didn't even do that for me. But they've been watching. They watch how we as parents, we handle our differences. They, we can do a lot of things outside, but they know the day daddy and mommy will shout. And what do they do after that? Do they keep malice? They hear all our gist. The way we gist, they know, if my parents are the types who gossip, they know if there are people who are given to love, they know if there are people who are given to giving, they know that there are people who have value the things of the kingdom. We might go outside, pray, but at home, the father is not praying. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, mommy calls daddy, come and pray, daddy's not there. So we are role models. So whatever we do, one way or the other, even our ethics, like we're talking about working from home. Like now, I make sure, consciously, that when I wake up, my wife gets out, she goes out to school, as a teacher, and I will go in also, take my bath, dress as if I'm going to the office, and I go downstairs, stay there. I don't come out until break time. I try to consciously, because I know whether you like it or not, they are watching. And I tell my son also, boy, you need to wake up. Even though you are not going to school, I want you to go and take your bath and do as if you are in the office, because he works from home as well. I want you to imbibe that. And so I'm modeling it. There are times, like she said, you have to negotiate. I can't beat a 21-year-old. I can't force him to go and take his bath. He has his own car. He can decide he wants to go. He's getting some little money. He can decide. But it's an opportunity to role model. So we should see ourselves as models.
As role models. Thank you very much, sir. And Ella, do parents influence? I just wanted to talk more on what he had said. Do parents influence child's personality?
Absolutely. Children are like sponges. They soak up everything they see. So it's no longer do as I say.
Do as I say. Don't do what I do.
It should be do as I do.
As I do.
They're watching. They're watching. Many times I look at even the little ones. They're watching. They want to make eye contact. They want to see what you're doing. Your response to people when they call you on the phone. The way you handle different situations. Children are watching and taking all that in, and it influences them. Whatever you do as a parent, whether you like it or not, your child is learning. Your child is copying. Your child they're emulating. Where are children's first heroes? Before they begin to see other role models and heroes out there, where they're very first role models. Especially the role of a father is very important in a home, especially what comes to do with boys, because boys role model their fathers. They want to be like daddy. They want to do what daddy does. They want to say what daddy says. They want to behave like daddy. They even want to dress like daddy. So we have to be very careful as parents, how we portray ourselves, how we behave around the house. There's some conversations I want to have. I don't want to have it around my children because, you don't want children to pick up things, even if it's things that are unintentional, things that you don't even want them to pick up. But they're looking, they're watching.
They're watching
You
closely.
might not see it, you might not know it, but they are watching you closely.
Thank you very much. So how does parenting affect the society?
Parenting is the pillar of society, in my own opinion. If the family setting collapses, that affects the society, whether you like it or not. When God thinks of one man, he always has a family, a nation, a country, the world at large in view. So every time God thinks about somebody, he's always thinking about the family. If God calls you, he's calling you because he has a family in mind, because he has a country in mind, because he has a nation in mind. So we should be the building blocks of society. If you get a family right, you're getting a part of society right. And again, like Prof said, whatever you imbibe in your children, they will teach their children after them. And so on and so on. And so your lineage forever will become, statues that represent godliness. So it's very important that we get it right. Because if we get it right, people say, you can't change the world. You can't, there's too many issues. But if you get your family right, that affects the society.
It transcends into
It
society.
it goes into society,
Yes.
and it speaks for good. So for sure, we affect the family, affects
Affect
parenting,
society.
affects
Affect
society
society.
ultimately.
And what is your opinion on that, sir?
Yeah, I totally agree. And like I said earlier on, family is the unit of the society, is the cell, is the basic cell. And it's the cells that come together, the family cells coming together that forms our society. So if we are seeing sick society, that means families are sick. And that is the privilege we are having now, to be able to talk to one another, to advise one another, to support one another. And I just want, again, to be able to let parents know that we are privileged. It's a privilege to be a parent, and for us to take it, with all that sense of responsibility and appreciation, whether they are biological children or the children that we have taken in and we've accepted to be their parents. It's a big privilege, it's a big responsibility. And if we're able to do it well, we are not doing it for ourselves. The Bible says God is not unfaithful as forget our labor of love. Even over our children, we are caretakers.
Yes.
Honestly,
That's right.
He gave it to us out of His love and and benevolence. So we should handle it with care. Nobody, you will not be happy if you give a gift to someone and the next day you are driving in front of that person's place, you see the gift just on the road, lying down there.
Yeah.
No, we don't want our children to be like that. We don't want God passing through our home and saying that our children are not catered for. They are not there. We are not there for them. We are not there to support them when they are in need, when they are going through changes. You have a young boy that is coming into adulthood. You have a young lady that is coming to adulthood, and then nobody to answer our questions, nobody to answer his questions. It's already failing.
Thank you very much, sir. So we want to talk about this other side of parenting. What are the signs of bad parenting?
Well, one of the obvious signs is talking down on the children, comparing the children to one another, showing favoritism, and not trusting them, not believing in them. And like Emmanuela said something. When a child says mommy or daddy,
They need attention.
they need attention. We should not just wave it away. We should not just say, in our own days, you can't just talk to your dad like that. See, things are changing. And we need to see that. If we are not able to fill that position, then we are failed. If we are not there to listen to them, if we are not there to show good example, we're shouting down on them, we are not trusting them, we are not supporting them. They want to go for sports, like Barista said during last episode. We think our job is more important. I tell people, a lot of people, we always say, it's because of the children, and then I'm not there. They are seeing other children, their parents are coming with them for the tri-conference meeting. We are never there. We are too busy. It shouldn't be.
That's right.
Because, Chief said something during the last episode. It might look a bit funny, but, it was serious that, if the parents are not there, by the time, whatever a man sow, he will reap. And you can't plant one seed and get one seed back. So as parents, anything we are doing is a seed.
And it might be worse.
No, that's what I said. If you plant one seed, you can't plant a seed of corn and you get one seed back. You will get a cob. A cob is filled with maybe 200 or 300. So a seed, if we sow good seed, we get it back. So if you say, I told you, I don't want to be this, you need to start now. Invest in your children. Support them. Show them love. Have that listening here. If you don't have listening here, you talk down on them, you compare them to one another. It's signs of failed parenting.
And Ella, what do you think are those signs of bad parenting?
There's a number of them. Neglect is a bad sign of parenting. Not listening to the children. That for me is so important, because children are always saying things, and it's in their speaking that you can pick up one or two things that you can quickly nip in the bud. So giving them attention, not giving them attention is a bad sign of parenting, neglecting them, not listening to them, not providing for their emotional needs. Like, whether you like it or not, everybody goes through one mental health or the other.
Yes.
And the last 2 years has been, again, this word has been overused, but I'm going to use it, unprecedented. Nobody knew COVID was coming. We need to check in with our children. How are they really doing mentally?
Yeah.
Schooling from home, nobody has ever done that before. This is new to everybody. How did they cope with schooling? How did it affect them? My son, who is usually an A student, most of his life, our older son, most of his life, he's always gotten A's. This last term, he got A's as well. But after then I asked him, just maybe because I'm used to it. So you know how you're not excited because this is what the person usually does. But then something told me, ask him questions. So I said, how do you feel about this? Was it tougher schooling from home, or was it? Did you find it easier? He said, you know what, Mom, it was actually quite tough. He's a self-starter. He's the kind of kid that he pretty much knows what to do. He knows when to read. He knows, low maintenance. They're kids that you have to be on them. Like our second son, I have to be on him. You need to do this. We need to check in with your homework. You need to do this. But for our first, he's a self-starter, pretty much. So I asked him, what's happening? How did you cope with school this term? And he said, you know what, Mommy, was tough. I know my results were good, but I feel like I could have done much better if I was in class. He says, I now know that I prefer in-class learning to online learning. Those are things you need to check in with your kids, find out how they're doing. How are they doing mentally? The teenage years are years that children struggle.
Yes.
It's tough, let's face it. We were teenagers once, so we know this. Check in with them. How are you doing? Is anybody bullying you? Do you have a crush on anyone? Those are conversations that parents shy away from having. But we have to have those conversations. We're living in a changing world.
Yes.
We can't behave like our parents who, if my mom sees a boy even close to my compound, she'll start shouting. The other day, my cousin was telling my son, your grandma, if she sees a boy even near the compound, she'll start yelling and shouting. What is he looking for? Why is he going up and down the compound? And my son was like, yeah, right, that's not true. I'm like, you're saying that's not true because you don't have that kind of parents.
Yeah.
Well, that's how we grow up.
Yes.
That's how we grew up. So check in with your kids. Ask them, what are they going through? What kind of friends do they have? Are they having issues with their friends? I was reading something a couple of months ago, and it was a child who had just committed suicide. And the parents were saying they don't know how they didn't see it. Those are things that, like, nobody sees stuff like that coming. And God forbid, but we have to keep checking in with them. How are they doing?
Ask them questions.
What kind of friends do they have? Be interested in your children.
Them, yes.
I know our older son, I know his friends' names, all his friends' names. Our middle son, I know all his friends' names. Our last son, I know all their friends' names. So be interested. Their parents, find out what kind of people are your children associating with. What kind of parents do they have? We can't all be the same. But to an extent, you need to show interest. You need to
be part
of their lives. Be involved.
Yes.
We cannot overemphasize that.
Yeah.
You've got to be involved in your children's lives.
Thank you very much. And finally, sir, coming back to you, any advices for parents out there?
Well, I want to say a few things. The first advice, model. Also, train. And when we talk about training, like I said about the trees, it's just trying to make them to achieve their full potential. And on the last note, I want to say this, especially for those of us, people who might have background like myself. I moved here in my 40s, now in my 50s. So, and I remember when I was growing up, I would play around, maybe I'd be in the 3rd street away from home. What we call blocks now. Maybe about 4 or 5 blocks away from home, play away, and then people will come, they say, oh, Tunde, Mama, your mom has been calling you. But we need to understand, these children, they are in. They are not going out the way we go out.
That's right.
We will take bus to school. In fact, at 14 or so, some of us, we started traveling in Nigeria from Ibadan to Lagos. From Ibadan to Abeokuta, we started traveling, taking public transport. These kids are here, and like we said, Are we looking at it that way? But still, we want them to have the way when they come in, they bring water for you to wash your hand like your father did. You want them to do this. You want them, everybody, they must do this. We are not looking at the environment. It's more like
the things that changed.
So we need to be able to understand this. I'm not saying we lower the standard or we compromise, but we need to appreciate the pressures around them. We could go out on a Sunday, we play, our neighbors, our cousins, our houses are filled. I don't even need my dad to have fun.
Yes.
I never, because the house is filled, my neighbors are there. About 20, 30 children going together. But now, just that child, two of them, only two of them in the house, well, that's what they have. And then we say, why are you on your phone? Why are you on your, what else have you given them? Can they go out to the streets to play? So we need to be there to support them, and God will help us. Lastly, is to look up to God, who has given them to us, and to commit it, ask God for his help. And he will always be there to help us with the assignments he's given to us.
Thank you very much. And Emmanuela, final words?
Yeah, okay, so I'd like to say, first of all, to all the parents and every parent out there, whether you're a biological parent or you're a foster parent or you're an adoptive parent, I'd like to say good job, well done. Parenting is not easy, as we all know. So give yourself a pat on the back every now and again. And, be kind to yourselves. If you feel like you've gotten something wrong, it's not the end of the world. Go back to the drawing table, reevaluate where you're at in your parenting. Figure it out. Talk amongst yourselves, you and your spouse. Decide, okay, we did this, maybe it's not working, we can switch gears. Seek advice. My husband and I, we believe in seeking advice from older couples who have gone through it before us. So seek advice. If you're going through something in parenting and you don't think that you're able to figure it out, ask people who have gone ahead of you. They're older, they're wiser. After all, the Bible does tell us to seek counsel from older people. Yes. So do that, and pray, and pray some more. I believe in prayer changes things. Yes. I've seen it work out in the life of my husband and I. Every challenge we face in terms of children, we take it to God first in prayer. And we see God turning things around. And also, be willing to sacrifice for your children. And I just want to tell a very quick short story. When COVID started, our children are into sports. They're really, really into sports. Our first one loves basketball. They shut down the games, they shut down everything, and there was nothing we could do. And my husband brought up an idea. He said, we have space in the backyard. Why don't we build a basketball court for these children? And first thought that came to me was, what? It's going to be too expensive and all that. But my husband said, there's value in doing this for the children. Because, you have to invest in them. This is something they love doing. Why don't we invest in that? And we saw how, as soon as we did this, we saw how his face lit up. How he was like, wow, you guys are really going to build me a basketball court? And we did it. It was a sacrifice financially, but we did it. And he was able to go there every day to play, to practice. Many times when the government will say, okay, you can have 5 friends outdoors, he will invite his 5 friends with their masks and they will play games outdoors. And we saw how much joy that brought to him. As parents, it was a sacrifice, but it was worth the while. It might be little, but those are the kind of things that stay with children, the long haul. They never forget things like that. They don't. And basically that's it. And God will help all of us.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ella. Thank you very much, Prof. And on this note, we want to say a very big thank you. So from STO Global Concepts, we just want to say a very big thank you to you.
I wasn't expecting anything. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And this is another one.
Oh, wow.
So thank you so much. From STO Global Concepts,
oh my goodness,
we just want to say a very big thank you to you for coming on this show today. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, everyone. I will be right back. So in conclusion for today, for parents, as children's first role model, we need to be careful of what we do or say in the presence of the children. They watch us very closely, and by default, they take after us. Scientists say that a child's brain is formed at age 4, meaning whatever they see us do and say make them who they become. If you feel that a child doesn't know, anything at the age of 4, I want to tell you that you are living in oblivion.
Pay attention to your attitude to help form the children in the right way. Parents, love your children and pay attention to them. Make out time for them. Be patient with them. Don't compare your children to other children. Listen constructively to what they have to say. Provide answers to their questions, and when you don't have answers readily available, research and ask questions. Never discard your children or say words that will make them feel of less value of who they are. Ephesians 6:4, and we go with the New Living Translation, says, "Fathers, do not provoke your children in the way you treat them. Rather, bring them up with discipline and instruction that comes from the Lord." And for you children, please pay attention to your parents. They love and cherish you. Understand that love can be shown in different ways, and that is the reason why every parent is different. Talk to your parents, confide in them, and be patient with them. Most parents go through a lot to make a good family. You may be aware of some, and of course, you may not be aware of some. Ask questions. Take interest to learn more about your parents' upbringing. You will be very surprised what some parents have gone through in becoming who and what they are. I know parents sacrifice a lot, and I can say that over and over and over again. In all, let us build a healthy family relationship together. And this is where we draw the curtains on today's episode of your program, The Platform. Until we come your way again, together and in love, we can make the world a better place. I remain your host, Bumi Oduntan. God bless you.